Hey guys, it's Will. So I got my haircut short, but I'm not short on AMD stock. In fact, I think AMD has some room to run. And even though it's recovered quite a bit, it's starting to get to a crucial point. You see, it's got this overall uptrend over the past few years, and it did find support pretty strongly right here on this rising support level. And we're going to break it down. It's at $123 a share. I think we have some drawings. There we are. The overall trend there is about $27.19, then found support at $53, then found support at $77 with highs of 227 bucks. What we kind of mapped out yesterday was, or the day before yesterday, this level of resistance at $114 per share. And it did validate that today. Looks like it had its move here as the market opened. You could see the market open was right here. Let's see here. And we saw it start the day with a push up and then it dipped down. We ended up trading AMDL. If you look over there, we ended up buying that dip. When it dipped down, we're up $109 profit over on AMDL. So AMDL goes up 2% every time AMD goes up 1%. Also, that's twice the risk. And essentially what we were able to do, I mean, that's just $100 profit, but if that trade goes well, hopefully we're in, the couple $1,000 range if it really spikes how we're kind of expecting. But again, we got this level now that it's at. It's a previous resistance that it keeps breaking through. We see it breaking through these levels. We see it breaking through these levels. That was funny. $122 a share is the next level of support. You can see it here. And there's the resistance, even support there at one point back in July 2024. And that's where it's at right now. So it started to push back up. It's even knocking on that 200-day moving average, which oftentimes acts as either a support in bullish environments or a resistance in bearish environments. And so now here's a pretty crucial market sentiment look. Do we see this previous resistance and also this this previous support act as a resistance? And do we get the rundown that it is fully able to push above that 200-day moving average? If so, we had a 94% potential upside. That was my target, right up to this $200 price range. I think they're absolutely crushing it. They're one of the most undervalued semiconductor companies. But of the 94%, since we made that there, it's up 6% from there. And we got AMDL positions. I got AMD long-term positions, but we also have AMDL in a trade today. Someone says, short-term trader, are you just looking for that short-term gain? Yeah, we have long-term positions, and I don't trade short-term any companies that I wouldn't hold for 5-10 years usually. So most of the time, even though it's a short-term trade, we do indeed have long-term positions in AMD. On top of that, AMD stock market cap, it's just under 200 billion. You could see that it's got some price lifts. Obviously, the targets come in, all the hype stocks and everything else. Everybody's either it's the advanced money destroyer, it's selling off, or it's the duplicator, it's going to keep going up, whatever it is. But let's take a look at the actual facts. The financials are showing that there is this steady quarterly growth of revenue. Look at that quarter over quarter growth of about $1 billion per quarter in growth on average. If you take the look year over year, they're up 35% in their revenue and operating expenses up. See, net income has more than quadrupled there. So their profit margins are up 300%. When you look at their balance sheet, very consistent quarter over quarter, things staying pretty level there. And then the annual, you got their total assets fairly well increased quarter over quarter, but not really moving too much the past year and a half. So when it comes to the next moves for AMD, we've looked at the chart. We see this potential resistance at which it could get rejected. I mean, if you look on the RSI, you look on the MACD, it's very overbought. But I think we're kind of transitioning here. How many times did we see AMD stock look way oversold and continue to sell down, and oversold and continue to sell down? I mean, this was the story. As they reported doubling of revenue, they would be oversold here and they would continue to sell down, oversold and continue. So that was a story from March 2024 until basically April of 2025. And we start to see them make this recovery. Now, some people say, well, it's just going to keep going down or whatever. I understand there's the bears, and they tell you not to buy. They say that it's going to keep going down or what have you. I think there's so much value creation. There's no bubble in semiconductors. Every tech company from Tesla to Apple to Microsoft to even Apple are saying, did I say Apple already? I don't know. They're all saying in their earnings report in 2024, they're all saying, we're buying more stock or more semiconductors, I should say, and those semiconductors are going to impact the AI boom, and we're gonna buy more semiconductors, more GPUs, more computing power. And what are the main companies that are purchased when it comes to GPUs? You got Nvidia, and then what's the other one? That's right, you got AMD. You have Intel, of course, but when it comes to AMD's moves, what I like about them is they're uniquely positioned. We're running this video here on Starlink internet, so it's from the satellite, and it's great internet. I personally love every once in a while in the summer nights here in Northern California when I go outside and you see this beautiful launch of over on Vandenberg Air Force Base over in more Southern California. They do the Starlink launch and you see this constellation of stars up here, and it's like, wow, and it's really nice up here in the Sierra Nevadas and all the stars at night. It's beautiful. And what gets, it almost gives you goosebumps, the company that's providing the GPUs and the semiconductors for all of those satellites that are going up with Starlink, they are AMD GPUs. So I think, if you look at history, and that partnership came out in basically November. If we go and we search AMD on Google and you search AMD Starlink, first of all, I don't know how it happened, but we managed to dominate a bunch of videos here with AMD stock and Starlink. Usually, maybe I'm not. Oh, did I search it wrong? AMD stock. Unless I'm going crazy. There it is. Look at that. We got breaking AMD stocks powering Starlink. All of our videos are showing up there, and that's cool. Thanks so much for the support, guys. But what does that mean? It means every time that's happened, where we've seen these partnerships with Starlink, there has been a large increase of shareholder value, a large increase of institutional interest, because they're essentially getting this public way of buying into Starlink. So, two things to look at. Again, it's approaching that 200-day moving average. We looked at the financials, the news, and things look good. And actually, while it's at this moving average, they did just secure this new acquisition of a company. It's called Brium, and Brium specifically works on large language models. They just bought the company. AMD bought the company. And if you look at, I want to say if you go AMD and Brium, there should be some sort of, there's some sort of like run of AMD that Brium did this demo basically of running their models on AMD chips, and they ran basically OpenAI type of model, like a full language model, but it wasn't OpenAI, it was their own, and it ran on AMD chips faster than that of OpenAI's running on NVIDIA GPUs. So it's running faster on AMD than anywhere else. So essentially AMD said, okay, let's buy the company. So AMD is also moving into the AI large language model space. So not just the actual GPUs, but the actual AI software. So they bought Brium, and you can kind of see this is their showcase of, this is on AMD here with Brium. And then on the right, you have running SG Lang. And they ran their stack and essentially got this response from their large language model within like 2 seconds, right? It was like 2 seconds. It was already going crazy. And on the other hand, the other model that wasn't running on their stack was way slower and taking way more time. And actually, sorry, excuse me, that's in the minutes, not in the seconds. So why is that important? Well, it means AMD is moving into more software, even more than just the GPUs. So you pair that with recently coming up on this 200-day moving average. We look at the overall, the long term. When AMD is in a bull run, it bounces on this green line. Do you see this 200-day moving average? It oftentimes will bounce. Maybe it comes below a little bit, but it really holds above it in a bull market. Then you have the 2022 bears, which, every single market was hit there. Still finding that rising support, pushed up above and continued to bull up until 2024, March 2024. So for a year there, it surged about 120%. And so now we're actually at the same price point. We're just right back down there. And essentially what I'm saying is I think that this would be the type of cycle for semiconductors. I just got an email from, it was Patrick Ryle, one of our Stockmates members. And it's not me to say like, oh, look at Stockmates, you guys should join daily live trading. Although you should, because actually our $200 sale, $200 off sale for Stockmates that is only here for a limited time because we just hit 20K subscribers is going away. It's expiring in 24 hours. So on Wednesday here. So if you want to take advantage of it and be there, it's the second link in the description for our daily live trading. And you also get a free t-shirt there as well when you join. Now, Patrick Ryle, he sends me this email this morning and he said, Will, I've more than doubled my money investing in SOXS or SOXL, which is one of the companies that I brought to his attention in Stockmate. And essentially, so if you're like really bullish on AMD, one way to trade it, at least this is what we're doing today, is we're trading AMDL, which goes up 2% every time AMD goes up 1%. It's higher risk and higher reward, but at the same time, I don't always encourage people, I really don't encourage anyone to buy things, but I do say that when it comes to AMDL, for example, it's not one that you necessarily want to hold, especially through certain events like earnings, because of the extreme volatility. It's just, again, twice as much of a movement. Whenever AMD moves, it moves twice as much. So it's great for short-term trading if you're confident and feeling good about your skills. But when it comes to, anyway, you get it. So AMD is one, but SOX, the one that Patrick was trading, it's SOXL. And essentially, like this one, it mimics the markets of semiconductors. And it's kind of a similar cycle. You can see this cycle that's similar to the semiconductor markets, where it is cyclically going up and then back down and up and back down again. And now we're seeing the trend for the computer microchips that make up the iPhones, the Microsoft products, the Androids or the Teslas, the Broadcoms that power Google and Apple, to the Nvidias, to the AMDs, to the Intels, to the Taiwan Semiconductors, to all of the companies that go into the semiconductor world. Basically, it's a fund that mimics that entire market. And he was telling me he doubled his money recently investing in it, which is gutsy, by the way, because I don't normally hold this long term. It's usually a day trade or a couple weeks at max because it's just so volatile. But when you get up on it, it's pretty awesome. And anyway, it's been, I don't know exactly what the entry was, but it's up 160% since the last basically month and a half. So about 166%, so almost double, but he must have entered even lower, which is cool. Good for Patrick. Anyway, guys, I hope that the AMD breakdown has been helpful for you. One other thing to note about it in that acquisition is that they're moving to the software. I just feel that is going from hardware into that software could potentially be a really large move for AMD that some people aren't really looking at. So that, coupled with the Starlink satellites, is the reason why we choose to not only invest in it long term, but personally I like to trade it in the short term. And again, if you want to be there at market open tomorrow, second link below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you all. If I earned a thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.